Hey, what's up guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of my Nations United Finland edition, the Espoo Eagles. In this episode, the pressure is on. After a wonderful season last year, expectations are higher than they have ever been. It's just whether or not this team is going to be capable of living up to that hype. The last episode, or at the very least, the last episode's comment section highlighted by two main points. First and foremost, I managed to miss Roop Heinz. Now, I will say, I'm well aware of who Roop Heinz is. However, and I'm honest with this, 1,000% believed he was from Denmark. Don't know why. Just thought he was from Denmark. The good thing is, it's not like he was a major player that we missed. Now, here's the thing. If I look at him, I'd be like, oh, yeah, he's Finnish, isn't he? And he sure is, but I don't know why. Thought he was from Denmark. Sorry. At the very least, it wasn't a major mistake. The other main topic of discussion that was there, aside from the fact that Nicholas Backstrom finished with like a career point per game and 1,000 assists on the dot, the thought of trading for one Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Now, of course, when it comes to the goaltending situation, it's the one thing that we're missing. An elite goaltender. Luukkonen, 25 years old, 90 overall, 4 years left at $7.7 million per. However, the Sabres do not want to trade him, which would mean giving up either Laakso or Hakkarainen, or both, to be honest, probably just one, alongside some draft picks, first rounders in particular. I'm not going to do that at the start, but I think what we'll do is see how the season progresses, see what kind of progression we get. Of course, off-season progression is much more powerful, much more noticeable, but we'll see what kind of progression we get from Laakso, from Hakkarainen, and we'll also see, maybe Buffalo ends up having a bad year, and we can get a little bit of a deal. Maybe one of the 3 first-round picks that we have end up being half decent. There's a lot of different ways we could go this season, but right now, fine line between staying patient or making a move while we have the ability to do so. Guess it's just a matter of personal opinion on where we stand and what we should do. But for the moment, I don't think there's going to be too much harm in us just standing where we are, rolling with the team that we have, and exploring that option maybe closer to the trade deadline. And actually, before we look at our team, of course, we know that there was a half-decent Finnish player in this draft class. Thank God, considering we had nobody last year, and he's already showing up as a potential number 1, at least according to our scouting. But I wanted to take a look, too, at pending free agents, because there might be somebody there that we're interested in, and if Winnipeg absolutely screws up, we have a very interesting option coming up here, don't we? Some might say 2 interesting options. It could be a very interesting offseason for us. However, it could be a very interesting season before we even get to that point. All right, so let's take a look. The team, though, I'm quite sure is going to be exactly what you would expect it to be, what we had set up at the end of the last episode. So it will be Ranta and Vehviläinen as the 1-2 punch after Tuukka Rask just plummeted in overall. The defense still looking strong. Of course, we are running with Kuka down in the AHL, at least for now, so that he can play. Sami Niku will be the guy who just happens to sit there, but that defense looking incredibly strong. The worst defenseman on the team is the very first guy that we drafted, Petri Nokalainen. The forwards, of course, I mean, that top 3, so much pressure on their shoulders, especially Kakko and Rantanen after a slightly disappointing playoff performance. The addition of Kiprusoff into that top 6. Of course, we bring back Granlund and Haula. They'll be with Bjorkvist. And different options on the 4th line with Armia, Virta, Lehkonen, and Koivula. Donskoy as well. Lemiko and Repo. And not really the other ones, but that's okay. You get the point. We did nearly everything that we could outside of making a trade at this moment for a big-time player, goaltender or not, that we could to set this team up, right? We've done everything that we possibly can to make sure that this team is in a competitive state yet again. But we'll see. Time will tell. We're about to find out here in the next few minutes whether or not last year was a bit of a fluke, whether or not this team is the real deal. hopefully we find out just what exactly we need to change. Goaltending-wise, one could say, oh, get an elite goaltender, but Ranta hasn't been terrible. We've seen in other series as well that it does not take the highest overall goalie to have a successful team, at the very least in the regular season. So I'm very intrigued to see how this goes down. Very intrigued to see what our scouts are able to find this season as well. Of course, this past draft was the worst draft we have had in this series, where pretty much nobody was worth taking. You had a couple of options, but it was better to just trade down like we did, and that has put us into a very favorable position when it comes to the assets that we have, mainly draft picks, if we want to make a move as we approach the deadline, which, again, could be the case. We actually end up losing to Luukkonen and the Buffalo Sabres. Absolutely not. Ty Berry for 2 first-round picks in 2024? I don't think so. No. 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 Now, we have lost 3 out of our past 4 games, which isn't exactly all that inspiring. Not exactly instilling me with an air of confidence. 4-3-3 through the opening month of the season. I think we will plan on going to the end of the month. We'll go to December 1st outright. But whether or not we make it there without stopping the sim to make some lineup changes, that's the question. I mean, the overtime losses that we have right now, tremendous. Obviously, the pity point helps quite a bit. But it's just a tad bit concerning. To go with just a tad bit concerning that we find ourselves at 7-4-3. I didn't expect us to be undefeated. I am absolutely not. Trading for Ryan Murray. Thank you for the offer. Not really. It's kind of a bad offer. But 7-5-3 right now. Midway through November. A big win over Tampa would have been nice, but we don't get it. Lose 4-3 in overtime. Another pity point for us. And we lose, oh my God, the overtime loss. It's just the losses in general. Time out. Time out, please. You're going to sim both games? No, you're not. Okay. 8-7-5. The Oilers are 16-2-1. Is that the Oilers team that I built earlier this year? It may very well be. Shockingly, we are in second place in our division, though, despite the rocky start. Who would have thought? Capo Caco. That's okay, but not great. 15 points in 20 games. I mean, maybe I shouldn't hold him to the point per game expectation, but it'd be nice. It's not great, but it's not bad. Simon Tyval led this team in points last year, 18 points in 20 games. Again, same thing. It's not outstanding, but it's not bad. That needs to change. I don't know what's going to change it. You would expect 99 offensive awareness, 99 puck skills and passing. I mean, maybe it would make a little bit more sense to change him to a playmaker, even though his shot is phenomenal, especially the accuracy. 6 goals in 20 games for Mikko Rantanen isn't enough. So maybe we find a little bit more momentum with Kakko at sniper and Rantanen at playmaker. There is, of course, the debate over whether or not it really even does anything. Of course, if you go back to, say, Draft to Glory Goon Squad, it certainly seems to have an effect. But we'll take a look at the second line. That's not good. Kiprusoff. We threw him into the deep water because of the overall. He's not ready. Absolutely not. Teravainen with 11 points. Lambert with 16, but the bottom line is Kipper's not ready. Second line guy, 85 overall, but it's his first season. He's not ready for that. Bjorkqvist with 8 points, 7 for Granlund, and 11 for Eric Halla. And that is exactly who's going to be given the opportunity here. As we'll play Halla on that second line, which we did in the playoffs, which didn't work out all that well. Virta not exactly lighting the world on fire like he had previously. I got to be honest, I'm going to put Kipper on the fourth line, and we're going to see if he can work his way back. Just going to try it out. And, of course, Virta will stay at center. I'll put Kipper, fourth line, right wing. So, third line, Bjorkqvist, Granlund, Armia. Strong defensively. I think I like it, but might be a little bit too much of an overreaction, but I think we drop Kipper to the fourth line. Give him a chance to work his way up. Teravainen, right now 3 points and a -1. He and Risto not quite working as well together as I would have hoped. Nudivara and Heinola cannot work together. Just they cannot. That is brutal. All right, so we need to make changes here. Those two need to be split up. So it'll be Heinola getting dropped for now. Although, I mean, Nokalainen and Kervainen probably shouldn't work together either. So we could just make the simple switch. I think we put Nudivar on the top line, put Kervainen with Tiravainen, and Heinola with Nokalainen. Bottom line is, I mean, two lefty-righty pairings are going to have to be the way they are, but Kervainen has a great shot as an offensive defenseman. See how that works out for us. Goaltending-wise, that is a major issue. Talked about Ranta not doing all that badly over the past few seasons. I think he's toast, and that, again, raises the question over what should be done and when it comes to potentially improving our goaltending. Do we have the patience? Is this a season that we want to kind of waste and view as okay, if we make the playoffs, cool. If not, it's all right. Because we know that goaltending help is more than likely arriving next year with Loxo. One could argue it's 2 years away. Depending on how quickly those two progress, decent goaltending could be 2 years away. There weren't any good free agent goaltenders, amongst the Finns that were actually allowed to sign. So making a trade would be ideal. Just the question is whether or not that's going to happen. I mean, we know that we have valuable picks, but that's a big move to make. His value, Luukkonen's that is. Oh my God. I think we have to. Right? I think we have to. Wow. Not to mention, Buffalo is Buffalo in a playoff spot. Damn it. You could at least make the justification, the argument that if they weren't in a playoff spot, sure, take him, and then they have Pouliot as a franchise goaltender. But with them not being in, with them not being in trouble at all, it certainly crosses that line between taking advantage of the AI. Now, granted, if I wanted to pull off that deal, again, it would be one of our two goalie prospects and at least a first-round pick. We would be giving up quite a bit in that deal. But there is no denying, God, I hope Nedeljkovic becomes that good in the Carolina series. There is no denying that if we trade for Luukkonen, that we took advantage of the system to get him. Now, that leads, of course, to the debate that we always end up having in these series. Who cares about taking advantage of the AI, and who thinks it ruins a series, right? I mean, that is an eternal debate that will never stop. For as long as I make franchise mode videos on this channel, that will never stop. There will always be some people who say, I don't care, rob the AI, let's go, it's a video game, have fun. There are other people who are like, but it's too easy. And, fair points across the board. But when it comes to Finnish goaltenders, there's no doubting Luukkonen's the top dog. Saros, I mean, did we have Saros? We didn't, right? We didn't have him in the series. Making $5 million for 3 more seasons. Oof. I mean, he's cheaper to get, but if we're going to spend, then damn it, we're going to spend. And Nashville, struggling a little bit. But right now, I mean, Saros is the only other guy who's half decent outside of Luukkonen that we could actually pick up. Gustafson's Swedish. Yeah. Rangers, do you have anybody? Not really. Filatov. Look at Ottawa hoarding guys. Carter Hart still there. That's, oh God, it's so bad. So bad. San Jose, not looking too good. St. Louis, not looking too good. The Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, goddamn. That's insane. 76 franchise goalie at 20 years old. That guy is going to give us a lot of trouble throughout the course of this series. So be prepared to see the Norwegian brick wall. And Capo Kakkonen, of course, isn't that great, nor is Korpisalo at this point. So we have one guy. There is one clear answer as far as who we look to acquire. It's Luukkonen. I'm going to give Ranta a little bit more time but it's a short leash. And the issue is, the longer we wait with this may end up being a relatively short episode. Because it's a major decision. If we can't start to turn things around here, it is a major decision as we pick up a huge win against a really good Oilers team. Big move if we're going to go after a goaltender of Luukkonen's caliber in terms of what we're giving up. Of course, what we get back would be amazing. But whether or not, we want to admit to, completely robbing the AI, or whether or not we just want to kind of, not think of this season as a year where we're truly competitive, and we want to wait for the goaltending. That's the argument. Unfortunately, right now, we have a losing record. And if it were not for the shootout or overtime losses, it would be looking much, much more dire. The AHL team as well, inexplicably struggling, despite the fact that they have a tremendous roster for the AHL level. We're at 13, 13, and 5. We only have 6 games left this month. Let's sim these 6, and I think that will be a major deciding factor in what we're doing here. And we lose the first 2. We've won 3 in a row, and 4 out of our last 5 games. We end up bouncing back with the win against Anaheim, but an immediate loss to San Jose. 14, 16, and 5. We play Buffalo, Luukkonen there, leading them to a great record. We get the win, though, and we play the Coyotes to end 2024, and we do so in major, pretty big fashion, 9-2 over the Yotes on the road. So it's January 1st, 2025. We currently stand with a 16, 16, and 5 record. Out of the playoffs, which is not surprising. 10 points back of the Rangers, who are atop of the division. Now, obviously, Mikko Rantanen right now is our leading scorer, which is a really good sign. You have Kaapo Kakko, 30 points in 37 games. Again, not phenomenal. Pretty good, though. You have Simon Tavall, 32 points in 37 games. Not phenomenal. Pretty good, though. And then Mikko Rantanen up to 15 goals. So he finally found his scoring touch. Pretty damn good. No real complaints there. 18 points in 37 games for Erik Haula is not too bad. I mean, he's closing. He'll be on about a 40-point pace. So obviously he'd be better suited. Truly he's a low-end second liner. He'd be better suited as a third liner. Teuvo Teravainen, only 22 points. It's not good enough. 40 to 50 points. I kind of want a little bit more. It's fair to expect 40 to 50, and then 30 to 40 at best, and then you hope for at least 20 on the fourth line. It's okay, it's not great. Same for Brad Lambert. 23 points in 37 games. Maybe it's pretty good. Maybe I'm being too harsh on the second line, I can admit that. Third line, Bjorkqvist with 13 points, 14 for Granlund, 10 for Armia. Minus 10 on the season, though. 15 points for Artturi Lehkonen, 12 for Virta, and still just 6 for Kipper. Oh, it's tough. We've talked about it, too, as far as what we could do in terms of changing up the lines. Donskoy not exactly tearing the AHL to shreds, but this team has struggled for they really don't have any excuses. Repo with 12 goals. Koivula's doing okay with the 17 points. And Lamiko, 12 points on the year. So nobody's really instilling all that much confidence in terms of oh yeah, we absolutely have to call them up. We'll try them instead of Kipper. We clearly have some issues. We have some underperforming players, and I think the big issue this year, of course, is that Kippersoff wasn't ready for primetime. Defensively, Nudivara, 8 points. Of course, this is the last year that Nudivara's essential loyalty agreement will expire. But 8 points and a -7. Ristolainen with just 12 points. That is incredibly disappointing. It's the last year of his deal, too. Incredibly disappointing for him. Tyrväinen with 5 points and a -14. Tyrväinen and Kurvainen have both been, Kurvainen, have both been pretty rough this year. But does it come down to the goaltending more than anything? And the answer is yes. The defense hasn't been great. Some players aren't scoring as much, but the bottom line is the goaltending's been brutal. Absolutely brutal. I want to take one more look at the draft class, perhaps take a look to see if there have been any mid-season contract extensions No doubt Tommy Ludman. I believe, would it not be Ludman? I heard people say, like, what's his face? I think it was Tony Ludman on the Sabres. That's how they used to pronounce it. Absolute stud. Oh my God. You cannot give a Finn that comparison. I have to be honest with you here. This is the decision that we have. The only way we're getting him, I honestly think it's down to him or Luukkonen. I genuinely think that's our decision. As far as who else is in the first round, we have Samu Luhi, who pretty damn good. But again, much like the players this past year that we passed up on, he's already close to his ceiling. Medium top six, unless that potential gets better, he's pretty much capped out. But he's a really good player, no doubt. Like, we're talking an elite middle six guy, maybe even a top six guy. That's going to be a really high overall to start things off, no doubt. I think that is actually the type of player that I would pick, despite the potential. But it's clear at the top of the board there is a huge game changer. And then from there you have Hannu Peltonen. And as far as who else we have information on, that's pretty much it. There is another goalie, a Juha Kuta, which is an amazing name, and I hope we get him. But time will tell. There are two players at the top of the draft, one of whom, I mean, is absolutely worth getting. 23 points in 31 games as a 17-year-old in Liga. But based off of the assets that we have, unless we were to really pull off some wheeling and dealing moves here, I think we'd have to make the choice between trying to make sure we can trade up to get him and Luukkonen. If we look at the draft picks, our own draft pick is up there. Buffalo, we know, of course, is good, and then Anaheim's doing all right this year as well. Goalie-wise, of course, Hakarainen's there, Laakso's there. So if we opt not to trade for Luukkonen, of course, we have the built-in goaltending options. They're just not ready yet. There could also be the debate, and I won't lie and say that I don't think this is possible. It's improbable. But say, for example, we were to use Rasmus Ristolainen in a trade. We use Risto to get Luukkonen. And then we try to use our two goaltenders in June to move up and get that number one overall pick to take that elite Finn. It's a matter of how crazy and over the top you guys want this series to be. There's always that debate as far as the rules, right? And we have the loyalty wheel for this series at least to have kind of, eased it into, hey, we're going to start having more rule-heavy series. At the end of the day, we are still limited in the talent that we can get. Finns only. Is that enough? The loyalty wheel and this only, is that enough? Or do we want to avoid, exploiting the AI? There's no other way to put it. No other way to put it. That is what it would be. It would be exploiting trade values. Now, cap-wise, too, I think would be fine. Lambert's deal is up, but aside from that, especially, too, if you factor in getting rid of Ristolainen, we'd still have Kuka. We'd be missing a true number one defenseman unless Tyrväinen turns into that. I don't expect Virtanen to be. But, like I said, with Risto, we could kind of hope, okay, get rid of him now, bring in Luukkonen, maybe he's back as a free agent. A lot of different options here. But in terms of getting Luukkonen, it's possible. Is that what we want to do? I don't know. In terms of trading up to get that number one guy, is that possible? Probably. Is it just what we want to do? And not to mention the ridiculous caliber of free agents that could be out there. I mean, 2 of the top 3 free agents, guys. Imagine what we can do here. Imagine, one way or another, how different this team is going to be next season. Because I think it's pretty much a lock that major changes are going to happen. It's just a matter of what and when. So I think I'm going to end it here. It's for the best to end it here. That way I can get your input, because if we're going to make a major trade for this season, it needs to happen as soon as possible. Ball's in your court. I'm not going to leave it up to a vote. I'm going to leave it up to the comments. So, of course, if you see a comment you agree with, leave a like on that deal. But no, I don't want it to just be, if you're going to leave me a comment on this one, right? Don't have it just be, trade for Luukkonen. Why? Why is that the right move to make? I want to know. I want to know your reasoning for being like, yeah, trade for Luukkonen and also get the number 1 pick, or just get that number 1 pick and don't trade for Luukkonen. I want to know. And, the answers can be simple. Don't trade for Luukkonen because you have 2 goaltenders. At least let me know why. But we've reached into the crossroads yet again, as we do in every series so consistently, where branching paths. What happens next? What direction does this team go in? Ball's in your court.